Cass. I stand in the doorway of 108 while she's screaming, pointing across the floor at something. Sylvie, for real, I don't know what you're freaking out over. Sylvie stands on a kitchen chair in slippers and a t-shirt, and all three of her kids are huddled on top of the modest kitchen table that looks like it could buckle at any moment. "Hey, monstruos," she cries. "Hey, what? Monsters? I was gonna guess cockroaches, but my patience is wearing thin, and the very word will just induce more screeching from the huddle of children. Radas. A raccoon? I ask, inching into the muggy apartment. A rat, one of the smaller kids says softly, hiding behind his sister. I look over to see not a rat, but a tiny mouse eating a crumb near the stove. I try not to laugh, for the kid's sake. The mouse looks like he should be wearing a little fedora and starring in an animated movie. "Oh, gotcha. Well, you gotta shut your door. They can just walk right in. Why doesn't anyone shut their doors around here? It's like a dormitory." "Gatto," she says, and I look to the kid for a translation. "Cat," the kid says shyly. She wants to know if you have a cat. "Not on me," I say, and pick up a colander from the counter and try to trap the little bugger, but it only makes the entire family scream in terror when I miss, and he scurries under the fridge. "Borrow cat from Mr. David. 106, she says, and I open my mouth to question this when the mouse makes a run for it and disappears into the back of the house. Sylvie fans herself and looks like she'll pass out. "Fine, yeah. Okay," I say, backing out of the front door and walking to knock on David's door. Before I do, I see a woman. She's sitting on a wrought iron chair on the strip of shared balcony that's really just a walkway to get to the stairs rather than a balcony, and she's in front of Henry's door. She doesn't see me, so I continue on to David's door, and before knocking, I take a deep breath and shake my head the way I do multiple times a day, still in utter disbelief that this is my life. David's substantial weight and breathing problems make him immobile, so he calls for me to come in from his recliner that squeaks and sighs under the girth of him as he shifts his body to greet me. The units are all small, so when I open the door, he's only feet away from me. I've never seen him in any other spot before. Over the last 6 months or so, I've come in for a clogged toilet and a couple HVAC problems, and it's like he's actually welded to the chair. There are 9 cats visible when I step inside. David is playing Call of Duty on his Xbox. He pulls his headphones down and looks at me without saying anything. I'm supposed to ask you about borrowing a cat." "Is the cat for your own use?" he says, oddly formal and without hesitation, as if this is an everyday request. I'm 108. "Does Sylvie have a mouse?" "She never shuts the front door." "They can walk in." "They can." "Yes," I say, and he nods as if we understand one another about a very important subject. "I prefer if you take Sister Christian. I usually give out Claudia for such things, but she has a sour stomach," he says. I look around wondering how to figure out which cat to grab. So just. I give a confused twirly gesture with my hand, looking for which cat to snag. She's the beautiful black Siberian in the sink. I go into the kitchen and see 4 cats on the counter. One fat black one curled up in the sink. I pick her up like I'm holding Simba over a cliff and walk to the front door. She can bring her back tomorrow. Sister Christian likes to take her time, but she'll get it. After I drop the cat off, I see the little mouse scurrying along the concrete pathway on the side of the building, which is lucky because I never planned to let Sister Christian massacre the poor thing anyway. I was going to come back with a hunk of Gouda and a butterfly net, but instead I take off my Thunderbird's ball cap and scoop up the would-be cartoon mouse and release him into the wooded area behind the building. I name him Fig and wave goodbye as he stitches his way through the leaves and brush until he's gone. On my way back to the office, I notice the girl in front of Henry's door is gone. I wonder if it's his wife. Everyone's heard about his suicide, of course, and the whispers in a place like this travel quickly and come with many versions. It doesn't matter that the papers posted that he was found in the river. Around here he was found hanging from the rafters. Forget that there are no rafters. Or he was found in his bed with a gun in his hand, although no gunshots were reported. And of course, there are a few that refuse to go in the pool, now because they say he was found face down floating in his own blood, and they fished him out in the middle of the night, which is why no one saw it. It makes sense, though, the crazy gossip. The Sycamores is where the broken people live. Everyone is a bit off in their own way. Everyone seems to be filling a void or mourning a deep loss of some kind. Since I'm the one they call to fix leaky toilets and clogged pipes, I hear more than I want to. Maybe they tell more than they want to a knee-jerk reaction that accompanies their loneliness, and I'm just the person who happens to be there to absorb it all. There's Babs, who glides around the pool all day in a unicorn floaty drinking gin martinis, who calls me to reach things in high cupboards in her apartment on a weekly basis, even though we're the same height, and then she forces me to sit and eat a lemon bundt cake or apple crumble and drink powdered Lipton tea, and I always do. There's the guy in 119 with the face tattoos who's been spotted eating SpaghettiOs out of the can on the balcony on more than one occasion, who tells me that Gwen in 201 has the herpes. Gwen in 201 tells me that Leonard in 111 got his dick stuck in the vacuum and had to go to urgent care, and Leonard tells me that Gordon in 104 steals Amazon packages, so look out. Then there's Rosa. She's one of the pool girls along with Crystal and Jackie. They're a permanent fixture at the plastic poolside tables while their kids beat each other with pool noodles and eat flamin' hot Cheetos all day. Sometimes Letty and Tina join them, but Letty and Tina have jobs, so they have less time to chain smoke and argue over cards and who owes who change from the 7-Eleven Big Gulp Run, and which contestant on The Bachelor deserves love, and which ones are just whores who are trying to grow their Instagram accounts. Rosa's quiet. She's one of the people who doesn't air her dirty laundry and who I know little about. A few others keep to themselves too, but most folks are like Crystal with 3 young kids and another on the way, but no father in sight who spends her days poking at her phone with her long corn-chip fingernails, perpetually FaceTiming God knows who. And there's her partner in crime, Jackie, who doesn't seem to possess an inside voice. She's rarely seen without a blue big gulp and a pack of Camels in hand, and her voice can be heard far and wide, arguing about who's cheating at Go Fish and Gin Rummy, who can fuck off and suck her dick because she ain't gonna be disrespected. I walk across the concrete patio, wiping cat hair off my denim shorts, and pull up a chair next to the pool girls. A giant box of malted milk balls and junior mints are melting in the sun. Crystal must have taken her kids to the movies. I take a sticky milk ball and pop it in my mouth. The girls stay focused on their game of crazy eights. Rosa holds up her empty hands, showing that she's out, meaning she won, and the others moan and call her a cheater the way they do every game no matter who wins. I really don't see the point of it all. "You seen that chick up there?" Jackie asks, nodding to the strip of balcony outside Henry's apartment. "It's the wife, yeah?" "It must be," I say. "I saw the email from the owner today saying his wife was continuing the lease for now and planned to move in, which I find desperately sad. If that were me, I'd want to be as far away from the place as possible. I guess she has her reasons, though. I don't plan to share this information with the pool girls, of course." "That's rough," Rosa says, reshuffling the cards. "Hard to believe he's, like, dead. He was so nice, you know," Crystal says. "And hot," Jackie adds, flicking a cigarette butt into the air. "Inappropriate," Crystal snaps. The butt lands in the pool, and one of the kids starts wailing and splashing water at it as if it will attack him. "For Christ's sake, Kevin, just toss it out, just. God, take a pill." Crystal stomps over and fishes the butt out of the water, flicking it onto the wet concrete. Happy, Kevin stops crying, and she returns to the table, picking up the hand Rosa's dealt her. "You want us to deal ya in?" Jackie asks me as the toddler on her knee pushes a melted junior mint into her ear. She swipes at it with a napkin and sets the child on the ground. The constant chaos of misbehaving and screaming children seems only a minor annoyance to these women, something that just exists in the background that they're forced to address now and then in order to keep the children alive, but requiring no effort beyond that basic instinct of not letting them starve or drown. Nah, I gotta patch a hole in the drywall in 102. How the hell do you know how to fix drywall? Rosa asks. It's just a small hole. Putty and some paint, I say. But still, it's weird, Crystal adds. You're like a normal chick. Pretty, even, I guess. You know any other chicks who fix dishwasher pumps and patch drywall? You should get a man for that. Yeah, Jackie agrees. You could be on The Bachelor. You look like one of them chicks. Like Ashley B., Crystal adds, with the glossy hair. No, she looks like Ashley K., stupid. Ashley B. isn't there for the right reasons. She don't look like Ashley B. Anyway, Crystal continues, you won't get no man with those overalls and dirty nails. Jackie could give you a manicure. How you know how to fix pipes and stuff? Rosa asks softly. I went to jobs with my dad. I was gonna go into business with him after school handyman services, I say, and then see their looks soften and their eyes flick back to their cards. I had a few gin fizzes one night by the pool and shared with the pool girls that I didn't really have my parents anymore. It was just me and my dad growing up for most of my life. My mother died when I was still young, so when he lost the house and shifted between rehab and homeless shelters around my senior year of high school, I was on my own, and the dream of a father-daughter company Abbott family repair died along with his sobriety. But he himself, not actually dead. For the most part. Technically, I received pitying looks when I joked about how he didn't even know who I was the last time I went to visit, that he just sat, slumped in his armchair in urine-soaked pants, calling me Roxy and asking if I wanted a stack of pancakes. They don't ask me questions about my family anymore. It's unrelatable for them, I suppose. Their lives revolve around their kids. Family is all they have. Crystal always says it's everything. So I seem extra pathetic to them with no kids of my own and no parents to speak of. I'm quite sure like the loneliest person in the world. The silence is awkward, so I just get up, unnoticed, and head to the front office for my supplies and wonder for the 1000th time today how I got here. Maybe that's my answer, that it's weird I can patch drywall. That's what Reed always said in a roundabout way. When I think about how and when my life started to spiral out of control, I make lists in my mind of things I did wrong. I went to trade school instead of real college. I wanted to be a mechanic, since my dad was clearly in no shape to start a business with me. I thought, whoever heard of an all-girl auto shop? No one. I could hire only female mechanics and we'd be the best, and every woman in the state would want to bring their car to us because they knew they could trust us and not get hit on or ripped off. I thought it was genius. I thought I'd get funded on Shark Tank even. But when I met Reed, I slowly started to give up on the idea. He thought it was weird, oddly masculine and not practical. Then I thought we could flip houses together since he was a real estate agent and I could fix anything. We'd make a fortune, get our own HGTV show even, 'cause how many couples have the wife be the contractor? But I wasn't a wife, was I? And I embarrassed him or emasculated him, like it was my fault he doesn't know how to use a circular saw. So that's the first bullet point on the mental list of ways I fucked up my life. I let Reed decide I should pursue something more normal, something where I wouldn't be called a lesbian or would make him look bad. Court reporting, he tried to convince me, would be good. But I hated typing and gave up on it. The bullet points on my mental list pile up. What an idiot I was for living with a man shortly after meeting him and acting like not getting married or having anything in my name was okay with me. I know deep down that how badly I wanted kids, a family, was the major bone of contention. It was fine he thought marriage was stupid, but he wanted kids too, and after 2 failed pregnancies, things changed between us. I think we both gave up a little, but on happiness. But really, my biggest fault was aging. Maybe if I'd stayed under 30 years old, I'd still have my old life. Pitiful. I'm not proud of having these thoughts, but I can't seem to control them when they ride in on waves of regret and resentment. Another thing I know is that I can't goddamn stay in this dump. The compensation is mostly the crap apartment I get for free, plus a pittance for necessities. I need to find a part-time job I can take, then I can save a little and get away from this hellhole. I've tried over the months I've been here to find something. Trying to get a job at an auto shop is almost always the same general experience. They never actually call after I apply, so I show up there and ask to talk to the boss, who is always male, and who looks me up and down and sometimes suppresses his laughter, but more often can't help himself and smirks the whole time I'm explaining my skills. Then, when he realizes I actually do know what I'm talking about and that I'm qualified, I'll see a sort of embarrassed flush bloom on his face, and then he'll get me on a technicality that I never actually finished my certificate program, although I will guarantee you none of the coverall-clad men in the back of the shop, giving me sideways glances from the underside of a Chevy sedan, have any certificate or formal training of any kind themselves. I'm a chick. That's it. I applied at Millie's B&B as a housekeeper, and a couple bartending gigs that no one called me back about either. So I feel like I have no choice. I have do it again. The thing I said I wouldn't do. I have to try to lure a guy in, just this one more time, and maybe get $500 or so to get me through until I find something. I won't get greedy, just enough to get by for now. So after dark, I get a drink at the Lamplighter across the street. The place is exactly what you'd imagine a dive bar across the street from the Sycamores to be. Dimly lit to cover all its filth, deep red carpet stained with decades of spilled beer and cigarette burns, the palpable smell of stale smoke and the bleach that tries to cover it up. The vinyl bar stools are held together by duct tape, and a pool table with purple felt and warped cues is in the corner where a few men argue over the legality of a bank shot. Don't Stop Believin' blasts from the jukebox, and a few couples in the corner booth sing along in the obligatory exaggerated way one must when the song plays. The busty blonde uses a spoon as a makeshift microphone, and the guys laugh insecurely at themselves. I belly up to the bar and order a Ham's beer. It's not everywhere you can get this shit on tap. My dad says it tastes like pears, and you know what? It sure does, so it's my favorite. I can tell I'm probably the only one who orders it because it's stale and flat, but that's okay. I'm not here for the drinks. It's just a prop. Some will win, some will lose. Some are born to sing the blues. The man next to me sings, leaning in too close. Christ, you want an Altoid or something? I ask him, but he just leans to the couple on the other side of him, unperturbed, and continues his song, eyes closed, fist clenched. I see another guy squeeze in beside me to order a drink. I notice the pale circle of skin around his ring finger. Bingo. Perfect target. I could start with the drunk guys because it'd be faster, but a married guy who doesn't want you to know he's married is exactly what I'm looking for, so I'll be patient. He nods a hello at me since we're squeezed in so close, it would be more awkward not to, and then looks at the drunk guy belting out the Journey lyrics. We raise our eyebrows at one another. Song's overrated, he says. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Open Arms is a better song. It was their #1 chart hit, too, he says, and I already hate him. I can't really explain why, maybe just the fact that he has any opinion on something so stupid at all. I suppress the urge to roll my eyes, so I blink a few times instead and bite the inside of my cheek. Good point, I mutter. He asks what I'm drinking and laughs when I tell him, and then he orders the same, and it begins. Some Steely Dan, some Eagles, and 3 or 4 Ham's beers later, and he's asking if I want to get out of here. This is when I start to nervous sweat. It could all go terribly, terribly wrong, but I do it anyway. I live just across the street, I say. No way. He stumbles ever so slightly as he gets up from his bar stool. Yep. You could come over for a nightcap if you want to, I say, and he smirks. Well, he says, clearly surprised at this offer and not expecting me to have gone anywhere with him. Sounds great. We walk out of the door and into the hot, still night air. He places his hand on my ass as we walk across the street, and I almost instinctively elbow him in the gut, and then quickly remember that I can't do that, so I pretend not to notice. I break into a brief jog to clear the busy road. He follows, and when we get to my front door, he kisses me and pushes me up against the wall as if we're reenacting a scene from a romantic movie. I want to gag from the sour taste of beer on his thick tongue and, God, the scratching from his goatee. It's like he's giving my face an exfoliation treatment. But I'm forced to giggle at this so I don't scare him off, and I shift out from under his arm and unlock my door. Hold your horses, cowboy. God, did I just say that? When we get inside, he doesn't seem put off by the repulsive interior. He doesn't seem to notice what a dump it is at all. He's here for one thing, of course. That nightcap, I say. Make yourself at home, I'll grab the drinks. Maybe find some music or something. He flops down on the green sofa and turns on the TV. I hear the opening music to a Law and Order episode as I pull 2 beers out of the fridge. Then short sound bites from commercials and sitcoms play as he scrolls through channels. My hands shake as I open the capsule of Rohypnol into his beer and swirl the bottle a few times to mix it in. It wasn't hard to get the roofies. The guy that hangs around outside Misty's Cabaret on 9th practically advertises he's selling. So I asked him, and he delivered for $5 a pill, if you can believe it. So I'll do this as quickly and practically as possible. He'll pass out, I'll take off his shirt, take off mine, but keep the bra on because I'm not a pervert, and take a handful of photos that make it look undeniably that we are in bed together. Then dress and wait. And this is exactly what I do, but he doesn't wake up. The last guy was only out a few hours, but this guy had more to drink, maybe. He's not dead. I checked his pulse. I kicked him a couple times, not hard, just to see, and he twitched. He's fine, he just won't get the hell up and out of my apartment. I can't have people see him leave in broad daylight. I make a cup of peppermint tea and change into sweats. Then I watch the last half of The Fugitive on TV and desperately want to go to sleep, but I wait some more until about 4:30 in the morning when the guy wakes horrified. He swallows and looks around. He grabs for his t-shirt on the floor next to him and pulls it on, then weakly gets to his feet. Showtime. Oh hey, I'm sorry. I must have. I must have passed out. I didn't realize I had that much to drink. He looks at his phone and his eyes widen. Shit, I gotta go. I'm sorry. It was. Your wife's been calling. Jenna. I assume it's your wife anyway. Yeah, you should probably go. Sorry, he says, stuffing his phone in his pocket and moving toward the door. How do you? Here's the thing. I don't enjoy doing this, but I need $500. I'm going through a rough patch. Are you asking? I don't even know you, he stutters. Right, but I know you would be upset if this got back to Jenna. I turn the phone and swipe the handful of photos I took of us. I know he doesn't remember if we had sex or not. The panic in his eyes is really not something I like to see, even though he deserves it. You're blackmailing me. Yeah, sorry. Are you fucking kidding me? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Jenna's photo pops up when she calls. She's nice looking. Probably a catch. She's worried about you. You probably have kids worried about you too. So who's the psycho in this situation, really? He stares silently for a moment, taking it in. Still you, he says, and he pats around his pants and pulls out a small gun. I can't believe I didn't think to look for that. I'm not cut out for this sort of thing. My heart leaps to my throat, but I try to act calmer than I feel. You're gonna delete that, and I don't want to have to do anything here, so just delete it, and I was never here. Seriously, do it. I can see his hands shaking. Dude, you might be a cheating asshole, but you're not gonna turn into a murderer over 500 bucks. Don't you think that would be a little nuts? I ask, and his face flushes red. This whole thing is nuts. What the fuck? But I know he knows he's screwed. Listen, just go get 500 bucks, bring it back, and you can watch me delete the photos. I'll show you I didn't back it up or send it out. You can look through my whole phone. I'd have no reason to. I don't even know you. I just need the money. Like I said, I'm not proud of this, but you shouldn't be proud of what you did either. I feel sorry for poor Jenna. Geez. And with this, I can tell he wants to lunge at me or pull the trigger or anything to lash out. But what can he do? Ruin his life over a relatively small amount of money? Lose his wife? Go to jail? No way. He does what I ask. He storms out and slams the door, and I can't stop trembling from having a gun in my face. I sit down and take a couple of deep breaths to calm down the light floaty feeling in my head, and I worry that he won't come back. But he does come back. 20 minutes later, he gives me an ATM envelope with 520s, and I let him watch me delete the photos. Before he leaves, he turns back one more time, looks me up and down, and spits in my hair, and calls me a cunt. When I lean over the sink in the darkness of my apartment with the canned laughter from an I Love Lucy episode echoing in the background, white light from the black and white TV screen flickering across the walls, I let myself cry. I promise myself again, a promise I know I won't keep, that I will never do this again. That I got lucky, but just barely. Anna, the heat in the apartment is suffocating. I spent the night cross-legged on the floor with a bottle of wine and an egg foo young, just sifting through boxes of Henry's things. Between the piles of notebooks, art supplies, and miscellaneous crap he already had here, and all his things I brought from the house, including countless boxes from school that sat unopened since he was let go, it will take me an eternity to get through it all. But there must be clues in here, some sign and indication of what the hell happened to him and why he'd do this. I don't know what that would even look like, but maybe I'd know it if I saw it. But it's mid-morning now, and last night's wine is pounding in my temples and sitting sour and acidic in my gut. My shirt is clinging to my skin, and I feel like I can't breathe in this room. I tinker with the air conditioning unit in the window again. It just made a rattling noise and dripped yellow water onto the battered wood floors last night, so I gave up on it. But now I have to call someone named Cassidy Abbott to fix it, I guess. It's on the lease paperwork to call the caretaker, but a chick handyman seems unusual, so maybe I have it wrong. I dial the number, and it goes to voicemail. Of course it does. I leave a message and step out onto the balcony for air. It's generous to call it a balcony because, of course, it's really a shared walkway. Most units have a camping chair or lawn chair next to their door. The person next door to my unit has a radio flyer filled with half-dead plants and a coffee can overflowing with cigarette butts. There are a few pink tricycles with handlebar streamers and flowered baskets in front of 202, and across and down a floor an exceptionally hairy man sits in a folding chair in checkered boxer shorts, reading the paper. I fan myself with an old people magazine and watch the women playing cards by the pool. I wonder if it's one of them who left me that note. The one flicking ice chips from her drink at a 10-year-old in the pool, telling her to stop splashing her brother, or the quiet one wearing bedroom slippers, sucking on a blue popsicle stick. But why would they? Maybe hairy guy. Maybe ugh. It must be one of these people. I watch as an impossibly thin woman with ghostly blonde hair and strangely short bangs steps out next to him and lights a cigarette. She's practically swimming in a pair of pink shorts and a tank top. She's giving him a hard time about leaving his dishes all over the place. She tries snatching his paper to get his attention, but he pulls it away before she can, so she smacks at the paper and calls him an idiot, then disappears back inside. I'm startled by a voice behind me. "You Anna Hartley." I turn to see a woman in denim overalls and long, wavy dark hair piled in a heap on top of her head. She's striking, even sweaty with no makeup, and I don't put together right away that she's the handyman or caretaker or whatever they called it in the lease. Yeah. Why? You called me. Oh, you're Cassidy. Cass, she corrects in a swift, practiced way. I nod and open the door to the apartment. I begin giving her the rundown on the noise the air conditioner is making and how I really need it to work, and she stops me quickly. Yeah, that's not my jurisdiction, she says. I'm sorry. The air conditioner isn't part of the building. A tenant bought it and stuck it in the window. If it don't belong to the building, I don't fix it. You're on your own. She starts to go. Wait, Henry wouldn't have bought this. Okay, so it's not my problem. It's part of the rental. You the wife? She asks, her eyes softening slightly as she stands backlit by the sun in the doorframe, practically blinding me. I shield my eyes with my hand. Yeah. I'm sorry about what happened, she says, picking up her tool bag from the ground. I want to ask her about him, but I don't know where to start yet. It's not the time. Look, Home Depot is totally out of axe with this heat wave. Amazon will take a week. I'm fucking dying in here, okay? You can't just look at it. It's a liability thing. Sorry. Wait, I say to her back before she makes it to the stairs. I follow after her and show her the note left under my door. The words get out stare back at me as I hand it to her. Someone left this for me. Do you know who would do something like that? I mean, since I guess you probably know everyone here? She looks at it and doesn't seem at all disturbed or surprised even. Huh. What do you mean, huh? I snap. It's a threat. I mean, not really. I could call the police. Go for it, she says, and I find myself prickling with annoyance. Are there any? Do you know why someone would leave this for me? I mean, everyone here is a quack if you haven't figured that out yet. Yesterday, I had to pull 4 Reese's Pieces out of a kid's nose with pliers in 107, and last week I had to drain the whole pool, 'cause someone took a shit in it. Could be anyone. Probably a kid a prank. Yeah, I agree, a bit defeated. Ask the pool girls, they see everything, she says, nodding toward the women who are permanent fixtures at the table by the pool. And bat your eyes at one of the guys around the place. You'll get your AC fixed, she says as she descends the concrete stairs. I sleep most of the day away in front of a box fan with a melted ice pack on my chest on a bare mattress. The days and nights run together, and I have no working body clock anymore. Maybe I'm still in shock. Everybody mourns differently, they say. It would be easy to let myself sob into his pillow and try to capture that last remaining scent of him, but instead I stripped the bed and washed everything because allowing myself to fall into the darkness threatening to pull me under is something I know I'd never return from. So I try to be just strong enough not to follow in Henry's footsteps, although some days I imagine myself going to sleep on the train tracks at Willow's Crossing, only a few blocks away behind the liquor store, and then it would all be done. But finding answers is what keeps me here, in this utter shit pile of an apartment building. The horizon begins to look like a watercolor with blazing orange streaks and purple clouds, and the air is cooling ever so slightly outside, so I pull a High Life out of the mini fridge and sit in the terribly uncomfortable metal chair that's propped outside the front door. I never knew Henry to drink High Life, and I can't imagine him acquiring a chair like this, but I guess there's a lot I don't know about him, isn't there? The loudest of the pool girls is swimming with an infant in her arms, cooing at him and swooshing his little legs through the water, side to side. He smiles and flexes his fingers in delight. I see face tattoo guy from 119 watching the woman, her giant breasts floating above the water's surface. I almost call him a perv, but I don't. The old me would have, but this version of myself can't quite muster up the emotional energy to care. Then I see Callum in the small adjacent parking lot next to the building. He steps out of a beat-up Volkswagen and beeps the door locked. When he crosses the concrete patio surrounding the pool to get to his door, he looks so incredibly out of place here in his shirt and tie, pants that are a little too baggy, and a messenger bag strapped across his chest that takes me aback a little. He must have come from work. Henry's school, I think, and I take a deep breath and push the thought of our life before it all crumbled to bits out of my mind. Maybe Callum is the place to start. He knew Henry. I have to start somewhere. I wait a couple of hours until dusk fully sets in. Everyone is inside their units, and the pool is glossy and actually looks almost pretty in the dark with its blue light and calm surface. Smells of curry and onions and hamburger grease spill out of open apartment windows. No wonder the pool girls are always outside. It seems other folks don't have AC either, and their lives and conversations are on display for anyone walking past. A soundtrack of crickets chirping, meat sizzling, the clanging of forks scraping across dinner plates, a baby crying, and a couple arguing plays all around me. Before the sun fully sets, I make a decision. I'll try to talk to Callum. It's a place to start. My hands shake as I pull out 2 more High Lifes from the fridge and walk down the concrete slab to 114 and knock. His face is a mix of confusion and surprise when he sees me standing there. "Ooh, Anna, right?" he asks, trying to rearrange his expression into something pleasant. I'm surprised he remembers my name. Yes, I'm sorry to just show up. Am I interrupting you?" I guess not," he says, but I get the distinct feeling that he doesn't want me here, just showing up unannounced while he's trying to relax. "What can I do for you?" I wanted to ask a little bit about Henry, if you have time. Or I mean, not even right now if you're busy, but I know you worked with him and knew him, so I just had a few questions. I mean, I don't know what I can offer, really. We weren't very close or anything, but yeah, of course, you can come in if you want, he says. I nod and hand him the 2 beers in my hand. "Oh, okay. Thanks," he says, and he must think I'm an idiot. High life, for God's sake. Why am I even bringing alcohol to a strange man's apartment? What must this guy think? Inside, Hamburger Helper sits half-eaten in a skillet on the stove, and the place smells like childhood. Ground beef and onions mixed with dewy summer air coming through the window screen. The TV plays a ball game and bathes the room in a flickery blue. He turns the volume down and apologizes for the mess. It's not actually that messy. I can still see the feminine touches his wife must have added to the place. Throw pillows on the sofa, an accent wall, and wispy curtains. The rest is covered with man stuff and Xbox console, a mountain bike leaning against the wall, a beanbag chair, and empty Pepsi and beer cans cluttering the coffee table. I sit on the edge of an armchair, definitely the wife's choice, and he picks up a few cans and throws them away as if they were an annoyance, left there by someone else, before he sits across from me on the sofa and hands me one of the High Lifes he's opened. He's wearing cargo shorts and a tight t-shirt, and I find myself noticing the way the sleeves hug his biceps and how big his 6'3" frame looks in the tiny apartment. Sad and out of place, a giant in a cage sort of vibe. He has a short tapered haircut and sad, dark eyes that avoid mine when he speaks. I don't quite know what to make of him besides that he's clearly a broken man, so maybe he does fit in here better than I thought. "I'm so sorry about Henry," he says, picking at the label on his beer. Then he makes eye contact. "He was an amazing guy. The kids loved him." "Thanks," I say, forcing myself to hold back tears at the sound of his name. I guess I just wanted to ask about when he got laid off from the school. I feel like, I don't know. He told me it was budget cuts, but that's when I feel like things sort of changed with him, and so I always wondered if he was I don't know, being honest with me about that. If there was anything else going on, happening that was off. Callum takes a deep breath and blows it out through pursed lips. "I mean, besides the silly rumors about Mira, you mean? I don't know, not that I noticed, but I don't think that had to do with his getting let go. The arts are always getting cut." A music teacher was laid off last week, too. So I don't really know. Rumors? I stop mid-sip and look at him. Yeah, oh God, Callum says, his face reddening. He said he mentioned it to you, or I wouldn't have. What rumors? What are you talking about? The whole thing with, teenagers are, sort of terrible by definition. Says the high school teacher, I interrupt. Well, that is why I'm uniquely qualified to say that. They sometimes can be slightly dramatic, and their mushy brains are not fully developed quite yet, so all the significance of consequences for their actions not always thought through. There was just a rumor about a senior, Mira Medford. People whispered about it a bit that there was something between her and Henry. What? I say, feeling a fist of pain pushing on my chest. Could this be the reason for his complete change of personality? Anna, I'm sorry. Let me back up. I'm not close with Henry, right? We've had drinks a few times, talked in the teacher's lounge. All the residents here were really pretty amazing at taking turns helping to take care of Lily, so I saw him in passing a few times when it was his turn to bring her a casserole by or something, but I know enough to know he's not that guy. We have mice in the science lab, and one went missing, and all the freshman girls decided it was because I stay late and put mice up my butt for sexual pleasure. There are still drawings on the whiteboard when I come in some days of sexy mice with boobs. I'm telling you, since I can't take back ever putting that information about the rumor stuff into your brain, that's how high school is. Okay, point taken, but what exactly was said about him? It's not so much what was said something about them having sex in the locker room after hours, it was that she transferred schools the next term, and he was laid off. It was the timing, not so much the dime a dozen rumor, he says, and a high-pitched ringing fills my ears. I swallow hard. The soft mumble of a baseball commentator emanates from the TV. A yippy dog's bark can be heard from another unit, and everything feels dull and surreal suddenly. If you're asking what was different or changed, I'm just saying that's the only thing I heard, but I don't think it's anything too. It's likely nothing. Lily, that's your wife? I ask, because although I met her, the name's not ringing a bell. He gives a curt nod, and his face falls as he looks to the floor. Yes. So the residents organized ways to help take care of her. Do you feel like he was pretty close to a lot of the people here? I guess that's hard to picture, so. Yeah, he seemed like a very popular guy around here. He speaks pensively and softly. Maybe he was just trying to stay distracted. I know the layoff hit him hard, but once he was around the Sycamores full-time during the day, I'd see him hanging out with everyone. He gave painting lessons to the pool ladies, manned the grill for the Friday night barbecues, threw the ball with the kids. He was that kind of guy. Well, you already know that. I never knew any of that, I mumble, astounded that he literally had another life here he never told me about. We had a health aide for a while, he continues, but we couldn't really afford her, and Lily swore her jewelry was going missing, so when everyone started to chip in to take care of her, it was really something. Rosa brought tamales, David brought a kitten, which wasn't actually helpful at all, but it's the thought, I guess. Jackie painted her nails. Henry did that started a rotation, I guess you could say, of the residents visiting, helping. It was really something, he says, and his eyes gloss over as if remembering it might make him break down this very moment. I nod as if this all makes sense to me, although none of it does. Henry's character, the natural teacher and caretaker in him, the kindness that part does, just not this apparent multifaceted existence he kept hidden from me. After a few moments of silence, Callum places his beer on the coffee table, his shoulders drooping as if the weight of speaking about his late wife has exhausted him. I feel like I should go, and I don't really know what else to ask him because I'm still absorbing what he has said. Well, I say, standing and moving toward the door. I don't have an end to the sentence, and the silence hangs in the air until he echoes, well, and follows me to the door. Thank you for talking to me, Yeah, anytime. Can I give you my number in case? I don't know, you think of anything else that might help? Course. He scribbles it on the back of a Chinese takeout menu, and I leave. Outside, the crickets chatter in the heavy air, and I walk across the pool concrete toward my unit, thinking of Henry and how little I really knew him in the last months. I'm not the kind of person who blames myself about things outside of my control, but I do wonder if my obsession with wanting more than our life together was what changed us and sent him over the edge. A conversation we had a few months ago comes in a flash of memory. It was a Saturday morning, and I went out for strawberry scones from Dickie's. I picked up the mail on the way in and found him sitting on the floor in a beam of sunshine streaming through the window. He was playing with Sticky, the neighbor's cat who found its way through our sliding glass doors every other day because he wouldn't stop feeding it frozen fish sticks. He had a cup of coffee in hand and seemed happy. But when I opened another rejection letter from a journal I submitted a story to, I soured the morning like I always seem to do, obsessed with proving myself, with getting published, making something of myself above all else, even though he was happy just to be together and be a middle-class artist, getting by. He was doing what he loved every day, and we did okay, so what was there to complain about? My chest tightens when I think about his contentment, his happiness that I had a knack for spoiling. I'm fucking done, I yelled when I opened the envelope. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. I'm a complete loser. Don't say that. He sat next to me on the couch. You want me to show you the box? Not the box, he said, but of course I pulled a shoebox from the bookshelf anyway and tossed the rejection letter on top of the growing pile. Why do you even keep those? He asked, but I ignored him and pulled one out theatrically. Dear Miss Hartley, you're the worst. Please never send us anything again. I threw the paper over my shoulder and took another out. It doesn't say that. Dearest Hartley, suck a bag of dicks. Okay, come on, he said, exasperated. I even tried poetry again, Hen. You know? I do know, he said patiently, accustomed to my rants. And did I even get into the Midwest Review? No. Let's see who did. I pull out the journal and open it. Olivia Hackerman, age 6. I clear my throat for dramatic effect before reading her poem. We went to the pond. There were fish in the water. Why are fish ugly? A literary masterpiece. It's a haiku, he says. I know that. And it was cute they chose a kid for the slot, Anna. Come on, that's. It is cute. It's adorable. But I quit. Like for real this time. Maybe it's time to accept that and just go. Go where? Get jobs on the beach, whatever. Something different and far away because fuck this. No one wants me and I reek of failure. Smell me. I offer the sleeve of my dress and he pulls me down to sit beside him. Hey, no, you don't, he said. The hurt in his eyes is something he couldn't hide. He thought I was disappointed in him, our life together, like it wasn't enough. And it wasn't that, not really. Now I ache with the memory. I'm jolted out of my thoughts and stop cold as I approach my apartment door, and I see a small package. Who would have sent a package? I haven't even had time to change my forwarding address yet. Was this there earlier when I was distracted on my way to Callum's and I just missed it? Or was someone looking for me while I was gone? It's unsettling either way. When I kneel down to pick it up, I see my name written across the brown paper. It's wrapped in. My heart speeds up. I hesitate to open it. I look around down the long stretch of balcony on either side of my door. I peer down over the railing, but the poolside is empty. Then I look at the box in my hands again and decide to open it. I slowly pull the string that's tied into a bow at the top and peel back the paper. When I pluck open the cardboard top, I scream when I see the box is overflowing with wriggling white maggots. Some fall out onto my wrist as I gag and try to seal it back up as quickly as I can. I throw up in my mouth and swallow it down as I run the length of the concrete walkway around the side and toss the box into the thicket of locust trees behind the building. Tears prick my eyes as I hold my hand to my heart and catch my breath. Someone wants to get rid of me. It's not a prank. It's a threat. I walk back over to my unit and stare down at the property, the pool, the warm light behind each apartment window. Something is very wrong here. Cass. I snake a wet clump of black hair and gray slime, the size of a golf ball, out of the bathtub drain in 107. I toss it onto the tile floor with a smack and try not to gag. It's fixed. I holler out to Crystal, who is on the sofa with a Twinkie, caressing her very pregnant belly and watching an episode of Maury on the TV. She tries to make her 6- and 7-year-old girls rub her feet, but they run around the room, squealing in mock disgust. Then, when the TV studio audience roars and cheers on the Maury show, I hear Amber or Tiffany, I can't tell which kid it is from here, ask what a paternity test means, and Crystal tells them to shush up, go out and play. Those lions are gay, I hear an unfamiliar voice say from the doorframe. I look up to see a kid about 10 years old who I don't recognize. Pardon, I say, and he nods to one of a half-dozen picture books on a rack near the toilet. The one on top is called Noah and the Flood. The lions marching into the ark. They both have manes, which means they're both male. That's inaccurate, or else we wouldn't still have lions today, he says. Yeah, I guess you have a point, I respond, and then the littlest kid, Kevin, runs into the bathroom where I stand once again hovered over the drain, giving it a final snake, and he picks up the wet hair clump before I can stop him and runs at his sisters with it. By the time I'm in the living room, they're already screaming and flailing out the door and chasing each other around the pool deck, and the strange biblical expert child has run outside with them. I owe you one, Crystal says, then screams after them. Close the door, Tiffany, got him it. I go and close the door and sit on a plaid recliner, wiping my hands with a soiled kitchen rag. Crystal pushes a bag of White Castle burgers across the coffee table. Want a slider? There's chicken ring ones in there. I'm good, I say as she lights a cigarette and laughs at an audience member on the show who stands at the mic, hand on hip, saying something about someone's baby mama and something about a broke-ass bitch. Who's the kid? I ask. Oh, that's Frank, Mary's grandson. He's visiting for a while. But between us, I think his mom took off with some meth head and moved to Tampa, so he might be around a while. And then the kids explode back into the apartment. The oldest girl is sobbing. She has the clump of hair stuck to her neck where Kevin apparently threw it. Now that is it, Crystal says, trying to maneuver her way to her feet. The other girl starts crying for no apparent reason. That's what you get for giving Jasmine a haircut in the tub, I told ya. When she finally does get to her feet, Kevin starts to run, but she grabs him by the arm and swats him on the butt. And if you can't behave yourself. She begins, but Kevin is just laughing at her. He wriggles away, running to his room before she can say anything else. She gives up easily and crashes her weight back down into the sofa with a sigh. I wonder for a minute who Jasmine is and why a 6-year-old would be giving someone a haircut. And then I see the poor bald Aladdin doll on the coffee table. The Disney princess is surrounded by Lego and sports specks of orange Cheeto dust in her buzz cut. Crystal is wiping Amber's neck like she's expertly wiped 1,000 hair clumps off a child before this one and consoles her with a SpongeBob Pez dispenser. The girl sits and shakes out colorful candies into her sticky little hands. Her nails are pink and chipped, and she looks up at me with pouty lips as though I'm to blame for all of this because I unleashed the hair clump. I ache for Reed and our home and the babies we planned to have and the life that was stolen from me, and it's all I can do in this moment not to burst out crying, and I'm not sure why. It's no worse than any other wretched moment on any other demoralizing day in this pit. So I pick up my tools and leave unnoticed. The girls and their mother have already moved on from the situation and are talking about fairy glitter lip gloss colors. Video game noises rumble from somewhere back in Kevin's room as I exit. I sit in the front office and swirl around in the desk chair, fanning myself with an old Better Homes and Gardens, thinking about what to say at my job interview this afternoon. The egg platter left a message and said I could come in and talk to the assistant manager about some night shifts, and even though the tips are better for cocktails than for huevos rancheros and corned beef hash, I'm gonna take it if they offer. I watched a late-night show once where some guest talked about meditation and how it can change your whole life because it's all about your mindset, and I tried it. I really gave it a shot one night. I sat on the beanbag someone left in a storage unit in the basement, and I put on some music I found on YouTube with flutes and chimes and shit, and I tried to think about nothing. But they don't tell you that it's impossible to think about nothing at all. Like, unless you're dead, your brain has thoughts, and so when you try to make it all still and quiet, that's when the real dark thoughts poke through. It reminded me of a church we went to when I was little. We had a sleepover one night, and they called it a lock-in, which sounded kind of scary to me, but we laid our sleeping bags out on the church floor and had pizza and fruit punch that they called refreshments, which I thought was fancy sounding, and we got to watch The Sandlot projected onto a wall from an old-timey projector, and then we whispered to each other after lights out until we fell asleep. And in the middle of the night, it was inky black in the big room, except way up high where there were rows of tiny windows that looked like flashlights in the darkness. They pierced the room in creepy beams of moonlight, and I remember being really scared and peeing in my new Rugrats pajamas. That's exactly what meditating is like. It's the laser beams of sharp, horrifying thoughts slicing through the stillness in your mind and taking you to all of the places you're not supposed to be thinking about. It usually starts at the beginning for me, with a mental list of things I did wrong. I never got the associate's degree I started, 'cause Reed talked me out of the masculine trade, even though I loved it. But it's not really his fault, is it? It's mine for being a dumb sheep. I had choices. And then, of course, I think about all of my choices and how most of them were bad. And then I think about how I worked at a pick and save. Why? Because I didn't get the damn associate's degree. And then what did I do? Stupid idiot me. I moved in with a guy who never wanted to get married, and I ignored all the red flags. No matter how unsupportive or distant or hot and cold he acted, he was Reed Chapman. He was the real estate god with his photo on the side of a bus with the floppy hair and poppy biceps who all the single chicks from far and wide seemed to giggle over and gawk at no matter where we went. Out of all the girls in fur boots and titty shirts and expensive highlights who sipped green apple martinis at the bars we went to and wrote their numbers on cocktail napkins, he chose me. Sure, it sounds pathetic when you say it out loud, but I felt really special when it was happening. It started with a few after-bar, drunk kinda deals, but then, somehow, we made each other laugh a lot. I never thought I was funny, but he thought I was and said nice things about me. Then drunk nights turned into weeks and actual daytime dates, not just 2s in AM stuff, and we morphed into a couple. And then he bought one of the houses he was showing because he just couldn't pass it up. It was a mid-century with potential and a good investment. When he wanted me to move in, I felt like I was in a fairy tale. It's different than keeping a toothbrush at his place and sleeping in the bed he had sex with a bunch of other girls in over the years. This was our new start. I thought we were really something together. I even went to special trouble to never tell him when I had to fix his bad drywall work or retile something behind his back after he left for work. It was a labor of love. If I'm honest, I rebuilt half the damn house from the ground up practically in my almost 5 years there. I thought I was literally building our life together. So maybe Kimmy is the young waitress he's been banging in the walk-in cooler for at least a year at the Bulldog where she works. But she can't be the first. I was one of those women I hate. I just didn't want to see it. I pick up my phone from the desk and start to scroll to Kimmy's Instagram to cyberstalk her one more time today. I have a fake name on Insta, Brandy Alexander. My theory was that she's too stupid to know it's the name of a cocktail, and she's too desperate for attention to deny a follower, so I get to see all the intimate details Cass Abbott cannot. I remember the other waitress at the Bulldog who stood there in awe. Jessie was her name the day I showed up and screamed at Kimmy, who was beet red, holding a giant tray of steak dinners next to a family seated in a corner booth. I flush with shame at the memory of this, how unhinged I was when I found out about the betrayal. But that doesn't stop me from commenting on Kimmy's photo right now. Her Insta post says golfing with my baby, and she's holding a golf club laughably wrong in her white shorts and sports bra outfit. You don't like golf, you stupid bitch. You're just clinging to Reed on his day off. But guess what? If he can do it to me, he can do it to you. He's fucking Jesse at the Bulldog. I type and send. It's childish and terrible, but I smile a satisfied smile, and then I see Callum at the block of mailboxes outside the office door. He pulls out a handful of junk ads from his box and tosses them in the bin. Before he can get away, I yell to him from the open window. Hey! He jumps a little. Sorry, hey, hold up a sec, I say and pop out the front door. Oh, hey, Cass, you scared me. Sorry, hey. Yeah, I was just wondering if you could do me a teensy favor. Sure, what's up? He asks, tugging his messenger bag back up on his shoulder. That new chick in 203, you met her, Anna? Yeah, I did. Oh, good. Well, I need someone to help her with her AC. Someone meaning me, he asks. It's 1,000 degrees. I feel bad for her. You know the owners made a big deal when Leonard's microwave blew up and started the fire in 111, so I mean I wasn't here then, but still, there's a rule no electrical and no more HVAC. I guess they think I'm gonna start snorting the Freon or something, but it's a liability thing. That's not true. I saw you rewiring someone's outlet a couple days ago, he says. Damn, I thought that would work. Right, I say, chewing my lip and giving up on finding another excuse. It creeps me out, okay? Being in there. His widow. It's all. You want me to do it, he interrupts. You teach science, right? You can probably sort it out. Look, I would, but the last thing I would think she needs right now is some guy showing up with a tool belt to know. That's creepy. Just call the owner. I did. You know how they are. It'll take forever. You own a tool belt? I ask, trying not to smirk. No, that was just. I mean, I'll take $100 off your rent if you fix it. He pauses and considers. Do you have the authority to do that? He asks. I mean, if you fell from the balcony, cause the railing was loose, or got your balls stuck in the pool suction valve, you know, something you'd sue for, then I would, yeah. So I can bend the truth a bit here. Wait, if I fell from a balcony, and it was the apartment management's fault, I'd only be offered $100 in credit, he asks. Christ, Callum, I don't know. It's all I got. Give me a break here. Just forget it. No, sorry, he says before I'm all the way back through the office door. I'm happy to help, of course. Sorry. Thank you, I say and slam the door. Then I grab my keys and exit the back to my car so I can get to the egg platter by 4:30. I wait in a red vinyl booth and watch a line cook press the life out of a sad grayish burger patty with a spatula. A middle-aged waitress with saggy eyes places a runny plate of eggs in front of a man so lonely-looking it could take your breath away. He wears a baggy suit, and his hair is greasy, and it makes my stomach hurt to look at him. The pimply teenaged cash register kid sticks his face under the soft serve machine and squeezes vanilla chocolate swirl into his mouth until the waitress flicks him in the back of the head. Then, two teen girls appear and sit on the opposite side of the booth from me. I'm startled for a moment until I see their respective name tags, Ashley and Ashley. They introduce themselves as the assistant manager and the second shift supervisor. Ashley with the A looks my resume up and down and then asks, "What makes you want to join the egg platter family?" Oh God, I have to make my face remain in an appropriate expression while I try to impress two children for a job I don't want. Here goes. I begin, then I see a sign behind the counter that says, Free-range chickens. Organic. Your high standards. Organic chickens. That's important, I say, nodding too many times. That's good. Good answer, Ashley with an eye says. Yeah, the other agrees. Do you know Bob's Pancake House and Cozy Waffle get their eggs from Gleason's where they debeak their chickens? Pardon, I say, not sure if I'm supposed to have a response to this. Oh my gosh, they do. They crack off the end of the chicken's beaks so they can't fight. But the only reason they fight is 'cause they stack 'em up like Velveeta slices in these little cages. Oh, it was on a TikTok clip from an Oprah show I saw. Oprah cried. The cameraman had to come up and bring her a Kleenex. Her mascara ran a little. Sad. So sad, the other Ashley echoes. Then she makes a pouty face and a heart shape with her hands. They ask me where I see myself in 5 years, and if I have customer service experience, and a bunch of other mindless questions they read from an interview form the owner supplied, and by the end of it, I'm so utterly demoralized that 2 high school girls have my fate in their hands that I think I'll start screaming. I feel like I could actually just leap on the table and screech out a primal howl and start throwing breakfast burritos at everyone's face at the utter injustice of the position I'm in. But then, Ashley with an A asks me if I can start next weekend the graveyard shift to see how I handle the 3:00 a.m. Drunks. Really? I say, my eyes welling and my expression softening and my hatred for myself growing with every moment I sit here in gratitude for a barfly shift at the Gotham egg platter. I actually think she expected me to refuse the Saturday graveyard offer, but I can't, can I? Yes, that works, I say, standing up and trying to rush the ending of this meeting before anything changes or they change their mind. When I leave, I feel lighter. The sun is beginning to set, and the air is dewy. The smell of the deep fat fryer wafting from the back of the building reminds me of the county fair as a kid, and I smile. I actually smile. It feels like the very humble start of something. I drive around a while and feel like I want to call someone to tell them the good news, and I'm struck hard, maybe for the first time really, that I have no one to call. I mean, the shift from having girls' brunch and cocktail parties and real estate dinners and organizing charity events to living at the Sycamores and being broke happened so fast I couldn't process it all, and nobody calls me. My book club and Sunday brunch friends don't answer my posts or messages, not really. A few curt, non-committal responses when I've asked to get together. I guess our friends were really his friends. Whoever he's with is the new Sunday brunch wife, and I've vanished. There were a few neighbors and yoga girls who were small talk friends, but when your life crumbles, you really see it all for what it is, and there is no one to call. I don't cry. Of course, I could never call them anyway to tell them such pathetic news. That I have the first thing of my own in years, and it's a diner job. They'd laugh me right off the phone, wouldn't they? I drive to Gunther's pub because it's only a few blocks from the apartments and I can walk home if I need to. I usually wouldn't spend the money on drinks, but I have something to celebrate, finally. A small step in the right direction. So I play Van Halen on the jukebox, and I make out with some guy with cowboy boots on the tiny dance floor and drink too many whiskey sours and stay too late. And then, when it's almost last call, I decide to stumble the few blocks home with my sandals in my hand, so I don't roll an ankle. When I enter the iron gate to the pool area to cross to my unit, I hear something. The pool water is still, and the night is quiet, all the residents long asleep, except for a sound like a low, rumbling voice, then a cry, it sounds like. I drop my shoes and tiptoe quietly down the concrete walk, keeping close against the building, so I'm not seen. Then I hear crying. What the fuck is wrong with you? A male voice seethes. I see Rosa now. Holy shit! She's standing around the corner from her apartment door, and her husband, Eddie, has her by the hair. He's in her face. She doesn't respond to him. Then he picks up a brick and slams it with enormous force into the wall next to her head inches from her face. I gasp and cover my mouth with both hands, then quickly duck behind the corner of the building. I don't know what to do. Should I call the cops, or will it be too late if I don't try to help her now? The crash of the brick must have startled the chick in 203, Anna, because I see lights come on and her door crack open. Most people are used to chaos around here and wouldn't bat an eye at a loud noise, but she's new. You want to end up like him, he yells. Then he smacks her head into the wall with a crack, and she falls to the ground. I lose my breath. The shock of it paralyzes me for a moment. Then he storms off, and I can hear his pickup start up in the parking lot. I run to Rosa on the ground, and she is quietly crying, holding her hand over the gash on the back of her head. Hey, it's okay, I stutter, still shocked. I'm gonna get some. I have a first aid kit. We can. No, I'm fine, she says, holding the wall behind her and unsteadily pushing herself to her feet. Rosa, you're not fine. I can wait with you till the cops come. We can get you. No cops, she says, and then she squeezes my arm hard. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, so please, stay away. Then she holds the side of her purse up to her bleeding head, stopping the trail of small dots of blood pooling on the concrete, and walks away from me until she disappears behind her apartment door, and then the lights go dark. I look up to Anna on the balcony, her hand cupping her mouth. She looks back at me, our eyes lock, and a helpless, vacant stare is exchanged, suspended in the heavy air for a few moments, and then she rushes back inside. Probably to pack her things and get the hell out of here as fast as she can if she has any sense.